Hey guys, it's Bill from Linden, Tennessee. This weekend, first of all, this weekend, I cleaned up my shop a lot. I had a whole bunch of battery boxes sitting over here that were batteries from the Jeep. I moved all them out to the solar shed, and that cleared up a ton of room. And then I did a whole bunch of ruthless throwing away of crap that I just had laying around. Took it all to the scrap metal. But after that, I started kind of tinkering around with this shifter situation. This is the little shifter ball that was on there originally. And this is a shifter assembly. I think I made a video of this earlier out of, I think about an Apreza or a, what's that, Nissan 300Z or something like, I don't know, something like that. But that's the electronic shifter out of them. And I just added a whole bunch of little two little micro switches in there. So whenever you push this thing forward, it hits that back micro switch. And whenever you pull it back, it hits the front micro switch, and that'll represent reverse and forward, respectively. And I took all the guts off the top of this thing. It used to look something like this. This is me being prepared for video. It used to look something like that. Anyway, this was all on top of here, and you end up with this little shaft that I machined a hole through this chrome rod, 5/8 inch chrome rod, and then the ball on this is some sort of metric thread. I'm not exactly sure if it's what I have in here, but I just turned a hole in there that's a little bit, well, it's basically the exact same size as this bolt shaft, and then it's kind of got that half smooshed in there. But then this little guy is going to go, it's just going to mount right there onto where the other old shifter was. It's just going to mount there solidly on the floor. I got all kinds of little tabs that I can make little standoffs for that this will sit on and bolt to. But that'll sit there, and this will sit there, and hold on. Bam! It'll look something like that. And so it seems kind of weird, but our little smart car, you push forward to go in reverse and you pull back to go in forward. So I'll set it up like that. As for this fan 1 through 5, I don't really know about that, and I may need to set this up so it's pointing the other way, or redo this and put like a little jog in there so it kind of comes back at you. I don't know. But anyway, that's the kind of basic idea of how that's going to work. I think that's going to look pretty cool. And I may actually keep the 1 through 5 because it'll sort of keep it looking stock so that you don't really know. But all right. With the shifter out of the way, that's actually a project I didn't even plan on doing until I just started picking things up and got to thinking. This heater and the heater box is the next mission. I want to get all this stuff sorted out. I went ahead and ordered a new evaporator. This thing's actually big. That's a big Yeti. This evaporator is actually quite large, so this thing's gonna pour out some cold. But new one of those ordered. Just this one probably works. I don't know, and it might work. It might work good for like a year, but then it'll spring a leak and then it won't work anymore, and that would suck. So just gonna go ahead and get a new one. It's $200. And then this is the heater core out of a smart car. I went ahead and measured all the resistances of all these little heating elements. There's 8 of them. And if you add all those up together, you end up with, I think, 94 ohms. And 94 ohms with 400 volts is like 1,700 watts, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but I can tell you for a fact that these little smart heaters, they really whip out some heat. So, and in the smart car, they make that smart car cabin quite warm. This is the heater core of the original cooler, and I cut out all the core stuff of that and sort of left the outside. And the thinking was, if I can get this thing in here, then it'll just mount up perfectly in my heater box, and that'll be the end of that. So I ran a whole bunch of little, each one of these elements only pulls like half of an amp, not even 1 amp. So I think this is 18 gauge wire, something like that, but it's actually overkill for half an amp. Now, whenever these come together, it'll pull about 5 amps, I think, total. And I don't have them color coded or anything because it doesn't really matter. I've got this split up into 2 groups. The 4 middle ones and the 4 outer ones are going to be up in here somewhere. These will be the positive. All of these will just, these will be the positive. All of these will just be spliced together as a single common ground. And then these will be 2 stages. So if I want to, I can have 2 stages where like low heat setting will be these 4 in the middle, and then high heat setting will be these 4 on the outside. Or I may end up not doing that because I've got this little doohickey. This is a digital heat switch, and it's got a thermometer that you put somewhere in the cab of the vehicle, and for representative temperature, I don't know where you'd put it, but so you just set that to 70 degrees or something, and once it hits that temperature, then it'll just turn a relay off on here and here, and then that relay will control the contactor that turns this heater on and off. So I mean, it may not even be necessary to have it in 2 stages. All I got to do is just adjust that temperature. The only problem with this thing, it's very industrial, and it looks industrial, and it'll kind of screw up the aesthetic of the truck. But maybe I could hide that in the cigarette lighter or something. I could hide it out of the way. But yeah, here's kind of what it looks like. Yeah. Anyway, so now I'm going to try and see if I can't fish all these wires through what used to be the coolant inlet and outlet. I had to modify it a little bit to fit all that stuff in there. Once they're in there, I can just zip tie or heat shrink it down to these little tube things. And I think from the inside of the cab, all you'll see is the outside, and maybe I could even slip some heater hose over it. So if anybody really got wild and wanted to look underneath there, they could see that. That's kind of dumb, but anyway, that is what we're up to today. Well, all right, I got all them little wires fished in there. I shoved them in there real good and then kind of put some hot glue on there, sort of hold them in place, particularly while I did this part of it. I mean, hot glue and a heater, that should work okay, right? And got these all fished through here, my positive side, my negative side. And then this is actually bonded with this, oh goodness, with this crap we use at work that just fell off the table. What's this here stuff? I looked it up online. This is some serious crap. So in about an hour or so, when this finally cures, that ain't never coming apart again. So I hope it works. I think it'll work. I'm going to need to make some sort of a little cover that goes around here. Could be with anything, sheet metal or just whatever. But it'll go around there and kind of seal that area in against air passing over passing over this thing. This is actually in here upside down. All the wires and stuff are going to feed through that little channel right there. Normally that's where our heater hoses would have gone through. And yeah, that's it. And in this area right here, that's where the air conditioner evaporator goes. And its hoses actually do point up this way. And I think there's some sort of a little diverter in here or something that kind of directs the air of the fan when it's running. But this may be a problem for me. I can't get this resistor to work. I've got basically 2 settings, but there should be like 4. And I don't know. If I can't get a new one of those, then I may deep dive into how to PWM stuff. But anyway, that's my little knob. But now what I need to do, what I'm going to do is go learn how to do some Arduino, because in here somewhere, nope, well, somewhere in here, there's little valves, there's little flapper valves. That's one right there that opens and closes the fresh air. And then of course there's one that opens and closes the blend door, and there'll be one that, you know, diverts the air to your feet or the windshield to defrost it, or your face, or blends it, or whatever. I'm going to change all that stuff to electronic, because I'm not going to be running any kind of vacuum pump. So this all needs to be electronic, and it shall be. So, all right, that's what we're going to do next. So my Arduino journey begins. A little while ago, I went on the Jungle site, Amazon, and bought this. It's got a little Arduino board in there, a whole bunch of LEDs and resistors and all kinds of stuff, breadboard, wires. It's got a little power pack. It's got some other things in there. It's got a little servo and some stepper motors and all that stuff. But here's how it goes. When you get that little kit on the inside of it, it's got a website that you go to and a little password, and you open it up, and it's just got some tutorials, and it's all like, you gotta read it, you know, not like fun like a video. But then it just says, here's what we're gonna do, and one of them is like, just have a LED blink on and off, and then it tells you the code and says, here, just copy this code. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. And the next one is showing a potentiometer, and I guess what it's going to do is, once I've got this all wired up there and put the code in there, then you go to a little monitor thing, and it's over here. It doesn't do anything right now, but down here I assume it's going to tell me the voltage changing as I move the potentiometer, and then once you got that, then you can use that changing voltage to affect outputs of the Arduino. But anyway, it's a long process, and I'm just going to kind of go through this step by step and try and work this out. So, all right, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of the day and probably the rest of the week. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.